Hey guys, in this video I want to talk a little bit more about the Diatone GT-R90, and maybe you guys are kind of sick of seeing this micro drone on my channel, but there's just so much to talk about on this guy. I did finally get the production version of the R90 here. The one that you've seen previously on my channel was the, I guess the pre-production of the prototype. It was a different color and had a little bit different construction. I mean, it was fairly complete, all the same electronics and everything, but this is what the final version looks like. The biggest difference, I think, is just the motor wires are red instead of black, but all the other parts are the same. I do want to talk about the parts here, and actually specifically the frame kit and some of the innovations in this frame. You know, if you happen to like the frame and the innovations that they've designed into this frame, but maybe don't like necessarily the parts in here, you want to use different parts, you can pick up this frame kit. I think it's like $15 on Banggood if you use the coupon code. Pretty cheap for the quality of frame that you get. And also, I should note that not only do they have the frame kit for this model, they have spare parts for pretty much everything that comes on here. So I know a lot of you guys out there are always concerned about getting spare parts for your drones because, you know, we all crash, and you want to make sure that you can get spare parts to make repairs if needed. And not to worry, these spare parts are sold on Banggood individually and in various different combinations as well. So I'll put a link to the spare parts, basically the spare parts list in the description. You can check that out as to which ones you might need or may need in the future, but pretty much don't worry, everything's available. So I guess for this video we'll just talk about the frame kit here, and as in typical Diatone fashion, they come with plenty of stuff in here, so let's get everything out. Okay, so I got everything out of the bag here. Most of the parts here are in individual baggies, and they're all separated by size, and all the little bags are labeled as to what's what. Unfortunately, they don't include instructions as to what pieces go where. There might be some PDF instructions online on their website. I'll check that out, and if there is, I'll put something in the description. Okay, here's something I found on the Diatone website that shows all the parts in detail, but I'll actually go over this in more detail at the end of the video. I don't think it should be terribly difficult to put this frame together. I mean, obviously, you can look at a fully built model here, and you can kind of see where some of the screws would go. But, you know, let's just talk about the frame itself. Basically, there's a single main plate here. There's not multiple pieces. Obviously, you don't want to make it too heavy. 3mm base plate. You see it's an H frame. Usually a 20 by 20 stack here. Very nice carbon, of course. And I think this should be quite durable in crashes. You can see that it does not, it won't bend at all. The arms are too short, and it's 3mm thick, so it would take quite a crash for something this little to break at these arms here. Another design element that I like a lot is that the two side cages are actually made of these two thin pieces of carbon, so there's 4 total, and obviously 2 of them will go together, and that forms one side here, and it actually bends. So you see it's actually bendable here. And if you look at the completed model here, something I hadn't noticed until recently is that these are actually in 2 layers. So it provides, I guess, less mass and less weight, but also providing strength. And it also gives you the shape here so that you can have a wider opening in the front here for the camera and a narrow opening here in the back, which is kind of nice. Something I noticed is that they're including these rubber bands in here, and I'm not sure if that's because they are suggesting you could use these as a battery strap, perhaps, because I don't particularly like the Velcro strap that the model comes with. But if you buy the RTF model, rubber bands are not included in that. You just get the Velcro strap, so it's kind of strange that they're including these rubber bands in the frame kit, so that's kind of unusual. And here's the thing that I think is the biggest innovation is this cage here. This basically is for mounting of the flight controller, and they basically reverse the order of things, and so they put the video transmitter on the bottom here. In this case, it's the VTX is the TBS Unify, and the little antenna comes out the back here, so it stays out of the way of the props. In some situations, you get worse reception because when you're flying towards yourself like this, and your receiver is over here, the frame ends up blocking the signal here. But if you fly more of an angle, then if you fly super fast, then I guess this would be ideal, as the antenna is up and away from the frame. But if you fly slower, it can block the signal. But overall, I really like the concept of this. Basically, you have a space for your video transmitter, and then you can put your 4-in-1 AC on here, and then you can put your flight controller on top of that. And because they're using one of these flight controllers with a 32K gyro, I think it's one of the ICM 206 something series, so it's a little more sensitive, but they have the soft mounting here for the silicon grommets here, so that any motor vibrations that happen to go through the frame won't go into the gyro because of the way this is mounted. And I think that they're maximizing the amount of space you have here for the video transmitter and these two components here with the design of this little component. I think this is really interesting. Obviously, you don't have to use this if you don't want to. You can just use a standard 20 by 20 stack. So if you want to use something like a HGLRC, like a F428 stack with a TX20, you could do that, but I think that it'll actually go up a little bit higher. Okay, so in this other bag here that I didn't open, you get the propellers and the prop guards along with the little accessory pieces here. So basically they're just color accents. You get the little motor bumpers here, arm bumpers, and then you get some like color accents here on the side for the camera, and then here in the back to put the frame together for the back part of the frame on these two side cage pieces. And then you also get these little pieces that hold the motor wires to the arms, so that's kind of nice too. They have that, so it's it gives it a cleaner look. And these are the extra pieces that come in the kit over here for those. Yeah, so if you really like this frame but don't necessarily like the components, maybe you want to try some different stuff out, don't want to buy the RTF model, you can definitely just buy the frame kit here, for like 15 bucks, which is a very reasonable price, and get the components that you want to customize your build. I'm probably going to actually do a custom build with this frame, obviously, like, I can always get spare parts later. Maybe if you guys have any suggestions on something that could be improved, maybe make this model even better, maybe some different motors, different flight controller, maybe different ESCs, let me know. I obviously open to suggestions. Let's see if I can use this frame with some different electronics, and we can have a little race off to see which one's faster, which one flies better. I don't know. You guys throw me some ideas. But yeah, I like the fact that Diatone provides a frame kit, spare parts, all that, and in typical Diatone fashion, the kits are very complete. They're very well thought out, and everything's organized, and it just looks really premium, but not a really premium price. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you like these kind of videos where I kind of go over some like design concepts and like things I like, things that I want to see. I'd like to make more videos like this, but need some feedback from you. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Hopefully this is helpful to you, and if it is, let me know, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Okay, so for those of you that made it to the end of the video, here's a little addendum as to where all the screws go. It's a little confusing because there's so many different sizes and they go in various different places, but it's actually not terribly difficult. Let's see, let's start off with these screws here on the bottom. These are the M2x5s. There's probably the most of these, and these have they're not self-threading. They look like this. So they look like this. There's an There's also an M2x4 screw that looks like this. This is a self-threading screw, so keep in mind the difference. So the M2x5s, they go into the bottom here, and it goes into the aluminum pieces, and then also onto the side of the aluminum pieces that hold the side cages on. So there's two of these carbon fiber side plates on each side. So M2x5s here. This here is the M2x4. So this is self-threading. This goes into this plastic piece here, and then there's a small standoff that goes inside this plastic piece where this flatter screw goes. This flatter screw is this one here. It's the M2x3, and that goes And there's just two of them in use. There goes one here and one in here. That goes into the standoff, that small standoff, and that goes inside this plastic piece. This piece here is also an M2x5 that goes into this longer standoff. This is a 19mm standoff. And then the other M2x4 is going to be used here for the camera, or basically you can use whatever screw your camera happens to be. The camera that comes with it uses a self-threading screw that goes in here, but your camera may use a regular threaded screw, so just use whatever M2 screw is appropriate for your camera here. The 4 screws on the bottom are the M1.7 screws. These are self-threading screws. They go into the flight controller stack cage or mounting cage here, and so that threads into this little cage here, sits inside the larger holes of the frame, and then these 1.7 self-threading screws go into the plastic here that holds the cage into the frame. So that's pretty much all the major pieces. There's obviously things like your arm bumpers here. So the arm bumpers are going to go on like this, and then you're going to use this bag of M2x6 screws, a whole bunch of these, and these go into the motors. This should be the appropriate length for the Diatone motors. If you have a smaller motor, you might want to change the get a different screw, but it's an M2 screw, and you, of course, if you elect not to use the bumpers, then you're going to have to use a shorter screw, otherwise you might damage your motor, so just remember that. And as you can see here, there's a ton of spare screws and stuff. This is typical Diatone fashion, what they do. So you may wonder, like, hey, why do I have all these extra screws? They just give you extra screws in case you lose some in the future. So just don't worry about that. That's just pretty normal for Diatone. It's kind of nice when they give you spare parts if you need them in case anything gets lost.